everyone, and welcome to the student live stream where we'll be sharing our top tips for starting university. My name is Hannah, and I've just graduated with a degree in criminology and psychology. So below is a comment section. It should be down there. So if you're watching this afternoon, make sure you say hello, say what you're coming to DMU to study, and also where you come from as well. And if you come up with a question at any point, just ask and we'll try and help you in the best way that we can. So I am joined today by my fellow health and life sciences students. So let's meet them, starting with Molly.
Hi, I'm Molly.
Hello.
I study forensic science. I've just finished my second year, so I'll be starting my third year on the 5th of October. I'm really excited and I can't wait to see what the new academic year brings.
Great. And we've also got Lillian as well.
Hi everyone, I'm Lillian. I study psychology. I'm also in my second year, going into my third. I'm quite excited what the year has to come, what we've got to offer.
Fantastic. So I've just graduated. You guys have already done 2 years at DMU. So we've got a little bit of knowledge, little bit of advice to give for all of you people starting. So this first thing that we're going to talk about, I think, is a really important thing. So nerves before starting uni and how well our first weeks went. So Molly, I know that you came through clearing. So how did you deal with nerves before starting uni?
It was quite scary, to be honest. I won't lie, I'll be honest. Yeah, it was quite scary. But the fact that I went to the open day after I'd got through clearing, so I went to the open day in September. It was really lovely to be able to see campus, meet the academics, meet some of the students, and actually get to know campus a bit better. And that really helped. But don't be scared. It's really good fun, and after you would settle in straight away, like within the first couple of days. It's really lovely.
Yeah, absolutely. I remember when I first started, like Freshers Week was one of the best weeks of my life, if not the best. Because I'm a very sociable person. I love speaking to new people. So when I joined university and I had so much opportunity to meet new people from different kinds of backgrounds, people who I've never met before, it was really great. And one thing I thought was really useful was whenever I was free, so whenever I didn't have any inductions or events going on, I would just go for little walks around the city just to get my bearings. And I'd come to a street and I'd be like, oh wait, I know where I am now. And that's really useful when it comes to getting used to your own surroundings and getting used to the campus and the city.
Yeah.
Lillian, what was your experience?
I was very much the same. I was very nervous at the start, mostly because I didn't know anybody going into uni. Like I didn't know anybody who went to DMU. And I'm sort of the opposite to Hannah. I'm not very sociable. I'm a bit of an introvert myself. So I was a bit afraid. I was thinking, oh my goodness, how am I going to make friends? How am I going to stay connected with people? But DMU actually made that really easy. So one of the first things that I did was check the DMU Facebook group, and there were like tons and tons of people saying, oh, who's in such and such course? Let's have a little course chat, things like that. And I joined those things and I got to know people, and it sort of felt like I was starting to settle in, starting to fit in, and it felt really good.
Yeah, it's a really good way of settling in even before you get there. So I was on the Facebook group as well. So if you are starting DMU, we've got a Facebook group. I believe it's called Applying to DMU 2020. Yes, it is. There's the lovely banner down there. So if you just go onto Facebook, join that, you'll be able to find people that you might be living with in your accommodation, your course mates. And I did that, and I made friends with people in my accommodation. And those are the first people I met when I came onto campus. So it's nice to have a friendly face there, I think. Yeah, great. Definitely. So when how was your first few weeks? Like, how did you find that? What did you do to kind of settle in?
Molly?
Oh yeah, okay. So the first couple of weeks, so obviously there was the induction week to start with, which was really useful of getting to find out like who was in my smaller class sessions. For my seminars and my practicals, that was really useful. Those are actually the people I ended up living with for second year. So yeah, the first people I met at uni, I ended up living with. Yeah, and definitely just getting to know people a bit better, rather than just hi, I'm Molly, hi, and like, oh yeah, I do this. What school did you come from? What A levels have you done? And actually getting to know them a bit better and having movie nights and being able to meet up with them, which obviously is going to be a little bit more difficult this year, but
Mm.
do it on Zoom or FaceTime or socially distant in the park. And yeah, it's just getting to know people properly and find out more about them and then find out more about me really helped and really made those lasting and bonding connections.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, yeah, for me as well, the induction week really helped. A lot of the friends that I have now, I met in induction week, because you sort of all, well, of course, back then, before COVID, everyone was squished into these lecture halls, and you sort of start to recognize people a lot. So you see them more and more on campus, and occasionally it'll just start off with, hi, you know, how are you? How you doing? What's up? But the more you run into them and the more you speak to them, the friendlier you become and you start making connections, start making friends. It works really naturally. It worked really well for me. I didn't have to think about it too much. It just sort of happened a lot of the time, which was really easy. Yeah, it was nerve-wracking at first, but you sort of settle into it as you show up to your lectures and during induction week as well, as you sort of get to know people, the lecturers themselves. Who, luckily for me, all the lecturers in psychology were really nice and they seemed really friendly and approachable, which made me feel a lot. It put my mind at ease because I feel like a lot of students, or at least I did when I was in college, I felt like university was this huge deal and, you know, the lecturers are all professors and they have PhDs and all these big brain people, and you get a bit nervous. But, you know, they're just human beings like you and I. And it was really great meeting them and seeing that.
I totally agree with that.
So do I. My lecturers, so I did criminology with psychology, so I knew both lecturers from each department, and yeah, I was really surprised at that. I thought it'd be really, really professional and really formal, but it was actually the complete opposite. And it's really great to get to know them as well as other students. And obviously, we all know that it's going to be slightly different this year, meeting new people, but DMU have just announced the freshers events that are going on. So if you are interested, go onto the DSU website and they'll be advertising them. So lots of COVID friendly, socially distanced events going on, which will be really great to get involved in. And I would recommend that you get into each and every one and really get your hands dirty at the start of university, because that's the best thing you can do, essentially. So we have had a question, Drew, about reading lists. So this is probably relevant to Lillian. So Harriet asked whether there was a list of books that we need for year one psychology. So did you guys have reading lists? What did you do when starting up university?
So the way that I remember it, I think, is that, especially in induction week, each lecturer for each sort of module that you'll end up doing, they'll give you a sort of recommended list. And I think you'll find them on Blackboard when you get like your sign-in details and all that. So for each module, you'll have a long list of books. Some of them will be listed as essential. So they'll be like highly recommended. Like if you want to learn more, then you should probably get those books. You can find them. You can buy them. You can buy them off of past students. You can buy them on Amazon any way you want. And then the rest will be just sort of recommended. So they'll be like, you don't have to read them, but if you choose to and you want to learn a bit more about the particular subject, then you can do. But yeah, generally, I think you find them on Blackboard and you get your details.
Did you find a similar thing, Molly? Obviously, you did forensic science, so a little bit different.
Yeah, very similar. Under the module information, we had a recommended reading list for each module with, again, the essentials and then just the recommended books.
Yeah, so that was the same with me as well. And quite a lot of the books that lecturers ask for are available in the library, which is really, really useful. So you don't have to pay for them. That's what I did. I just got them in and out of the library whenever I needed them. So great way to save money when you're on a student budget. So this leads quite nicely into talking about, what did you not expect to need for your course when you moved in, that you would recommend people brought with them?
A Sharpie pen.
A Sharpie pen, okay.
Yeah. For marking up stuff in the lab, definitely. It's very, very, very useful so you don't get your reagents mixed up. Yeah, Sharpie pen is really useful. And also to mark your own belongings so that people don't steal your ruler or your pencil case. Yeah. bit of a random one.
Yeah. Okay, so Molly's gone with a Sharpie pen. Lillian, what are you going to go for?
I'm going to go for a whiteboard. A little whiteboard or like a corkboard or something, some way to like organize yourself. I found that like when I started, there were so many things happening. There were so many events that were going live, and I needed a way to sort of remind myself of them because I'm not very good at remembering things at all. So just having like a whiteboard hanging in my room, like I have like just a little one from Wilco's. I think I got it from super cheap. It came with like a little rubber and a little pen. I could just note stuff down, you know, remember, do this time, this is happening, you know, don't spend too much money, all these sorts of things. I found that really useful, yeah. I didn't think I'd need it because I thought, you know, I'd just remember it, but sometimes
Yeah,
it's
I
nice to
would
just
echo that as well. Yeah, I bought one, which I've actually still got. It's sat on my desk over there, which I just used for like meal planning as well, because when there's so much going on, so for me in Freshers Week, because I was so busy, I forgot to eat, and that is so bad. And please do not forget to do that. But that's because I just wasn't organized. But as soon as I got like a whiteboard and I was able to plan things out, um, I found that that really, really helped. Just meal plans, working out what events and what times I had available. Because obviously you're going to need to learn to cook, to clean, to do your laundry as well. So making time for yourself is really, really important, I thought. So we have already kind of covered this. So how did you find was the best way to connect with students before starting? So we did talk about the Facebook group. Did you have like course WhatsApp groups? Did you go to many Freshers Week events? What was your experience?
So for me, there was a group chat that I joined that had been started before, that was for people who'd just applied. So it started in sort of January, February time. And that was really useful to be able to get to just know people a bit better and find out where they were going for pre-drinks in freshers events. And yeah, that was a really good way of being able to know what's going on as well as finding new people.
Yeah, great.
I joined a course WhatsApp group, but I was looking for accommodation sort of just before the start of the year. So I joined a couple of those groups on Facebook, which was really useful because a lot of people who were just started moving out or were just moving into certain like accommodations and saying, you know, you can move in here, you can do this. It wasn't a particularly great way to meet people, but it was just sort of to stay connected with others a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, great. And also separate accommodation places do have their own Facebook groups as well, where they give out information and things like that. So for me, I was in the Glassworks in my first year, and they had one, and it was so useful with any events they were putting on or warning us of any inspections or things like that. So I definitely recommend joining them as well. If you weren't here for the start of the stream, don't forget to join the Facebook group Applying to DMU 2020, because that's where you'll find all of these WhatsApp groups, all these Facebook groups, and you'll be able to connect with people before starting. So we're all HLS students, so we're all based in the Hawthorne building. So what would you guys say is your favorite facility that you've used throughout your time at DMU? So these could be labs, materials, things, maybe things you learn from technicians. What would be your favorite thing at the moment?
My favorite thing.
Oh, sorry, Molly.
No, carry on.
Okay. My favorite thing was when we were learning about biological psychology. We went into the computer labs, the psychology computer labs. And in there, they would sometimes have a lot of equipment set up, depending on what we were learning about that day. So we'd get to play with like ECGs and EEGs, and we get to like, you know, connect electrodes to people's faces to measure like all their psychological, physiological things that are happening in their body. And that was really cool. I felt like a proper scientist at that point.
What about you, Molly?
So I really love the crime scene house that Forensic Science has got on Grasmere Street, just at the end of campus. Yeah, that's that and my forensic IT module last year. They're definitely my two favourite things so far. Yeah, being able to go into the house, put on my crime scene suit, my mask, my gloves, my shoe covers, and you can just see my eyes. But no, it's really good to get that actual field experience of what it would be like to be a crime scene investigator. And to find out how warm PPE is. But yeah, and the forensic IT module, that was really good fun with learning how to take a digital image of phones and computers and hard drives. That was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I really enjoyed visiting the crime scene house as well, and the dummy they've got in there is so scarily realistic. isn't it? So I remember our teacher was like, teacher lecturer, she was like, oh, who wants to go and touch the dummy? No one would do it. And I was the course rep for my course, and I was like, go on, Hannah, you do it. You've been elected to do this kind of thing. So yeah, it was really weirdly realistic. So that's really, really great to get you that field experience and to have an idea of what crime scenes would actually look like when you go in there. And I think we're really, really lucky with the lab facilities that we have at DMU as well. So we've also got the mock wards for midwifery and nursing, where you've got sort of dummies on a hospital bed and it looks like a real ward. And then for pharmacy, you've also got like real world dispensaries, so you can actually work in a place that is similar to what you'd be working in after you graduate, which I really, really enjoyed, and I really enjoyed looking around. Obviously, as a criminology student, I never used them, but it was nice to look at at least. So we talked about our favourite facilities. What about our favourite places on campus to write essays? Molly, do you want to start?
Yeah. So I really quite like the individual study rooms in the library on the ground floor. They're really useful because I find they're quite noise proof, they're quite soundproof, and not too many distractions. And there's one with some lights. I put them on like the blue calm setting. I just sit there.
Yeah, I know which ones you mean,
essay, get my essay written. Yeah. So yeah, I love the individual study rooms, as well as the Newark Cafe under the Hugh Aston building. That was a really nice place to be able to do your work as well.
Yeah, how about you, Lillian? Have you got any favourite spots?
Yeah, I mean, I always used to go to the library to write my essays because there were quite a lot of like good silent, like the silent rooms were really good. Because I don't know about you guys, but I cannot work when there's distractions around me. I just can't do it. But they were really good. And occasionally, depending on the type of work that I was doing, in the DSU on the second floor, there are some seats upstairs. There's the little like cubbies that you can sit in. They were quite good because you sort of feel like very comfortable, but also you're sort of isolated from the people next to you, so you don't have to like be hearing people talking and things like that.
Yeah, those are really comfy. I like to sit up there and have my lunch. But yeah, I would definitely agree with the library. Like, we're really lucky with the facilities we have. It's been newly refurbished recently. So I really like going up to the first floor. So it's just quiet study. So there's still a little bit of buzz going around me. So it's not deadly silent, because I need to have some kind of noise or else I get distracted, which is a bit of a weird way round. But that is a really, really nice area. And I also really like on the silent floor, there's, I think they call it the terrace. I'm not too sure. It's the deck, that's it. Yeah. I knew it was something to do with a ship. So yeah, that's a really, really nice area as well. So there's like sofas and high tables and things like that, and it's loads of really good study space on campus. And I also really love the Riverside Cafe as well in the VJ Patel building. Absolutely stunning in there. Like there's like you said, Molly, we've got several cafes on campus, all serving different types of drink as well. So if you don't fancy a Starbucks, you can go along and get a Costa, which I think is really, really cool. So we've already kind of covered this, but are there other places either on campus or surrounding campus that are your favorite places to kind of hang out or shop or just chill during the day? Lillian?
I think there are quite a lot of nice like coffee shops close to campus. The one that I found myself going to all the time was 96 Degrees. It's sort of do you know where sort of towards Bede Island, around that area, a little bit off campus. It's only about a 5-minute walk, but they make the best coffee I've had in my entire life. It's a little bit more on the pricey side, so it's more of a treat sometimes, but it's definitely worth it. And it's a really nice aesthetic in there. Lots of like plants and timber. It's really like calming and relaxing. I quite like going there.
Cool. Molly, any suggestions?
If you're looking for like a cheap pub lunch, then what's the one at the top of campus called? I can't remember what it's called. The Bowling Green. That's really nice. For a nice cheap lunch and 2 puddings for a £5, so that's really good. If you're looking for somewhere for a bit of a refuel, but then just all the coffee shops on campus are great. They just serve fab coffee and it's not too expensive, and you can earn the points with the YOLO app as well.
Yeah. Oh, love the YOLO app. The amount of free bowls of chips I've had from that app just because I use it all the time. But yeah, it's obviously need to be noted that some of these coffee shops and some of these facilities might be closed due to COVID, but we're looking to get them back open as soon as we can and as soon as it's safe to do so. But other than that, there's so many places around, like the Cultural Quarter. Have you guys hung out there before in Leicester?
Yeah, a few times.
I've been over there yet. I need to go over there.
Really, really nice. Some really great cocktail bars over there. You've obviously got the Athena Theatre as well, and the Curve Theatre. You've got the LCB Depot, which we as DMU work with quite a lot. So we've got loads of events going on there. And I really, really like it around there. I'm a massive fan of cocktails. So of course, if there's cocktail bars, I'm running along there as soon as I can. But we've also got the High Cross, haven't we? I used to spend hours in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, a great way to spend our student discount that we have with our student cards. So we have had a question in that links in quite well with places to hang out. So while studying, did you guys have time to join a society? Molly, I'll start with you first.
Yeah, absolutely. First year, I'm quite into music and stuff as well as science, which is unusual for a science student. But I play the violin and I sing. So in first year, I was lucky enough to get involved with the DMU Chamber Choir. And I got to sing with them. And I actually got to go to Peterborough Cathedral and sing morning and even song there, which was really incredible. And then in second year, I joined rowing instead. Something a bit different. It was definitely a lot more commitment than the music side of things, but for the social and the physical aspect of it, it was really good fun. And then I also joined the Forensic Science Society, and that's really good. We do lots of quizzes and stuff, and yeah, lucky enough to have been elected as a committee member this year. So looking forward to being able to put on some events for either forensic science students or just those of you who are interested in forensic science. It's open to everybody. And yeah, so societies are a great way to get to know people.
Absolutely. Lillian, what have you been involved in?
In my first year, I think I joined the Cinema Society and the Psychology Society. The Cinema Society because I love films. I used to actually study film in college, so I absolutely adore that. And the great thing about societies is that you know that you have at least one thing in common with everybody who's there. And this Psychology Society I joined because I thought it'd be a great idea to get to know some third years and get some hot tips off of them on like study tip for assignments and stuff. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. The Cinema Society was actually really great because what you would do is you'd come onto campus, you'd all like watch a film on like the huge screens that they've got on campus. And then afterwards, we'd all go to like Spoons or something, and we'd all have like drinks and food, and we'd just chat and get to know each other. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I made a lot of friends. Yeah.
Yeah, really well. Yeah, great. I've been involved in so much. So it's kind of been different societies every year because I've really liked going in and out of things and trying new things. So I've done pole fitness. I was in the committee for music. I started up a society as well. So if you go onto the DSU website and find that there isn't really a society for a particular hobby, so let's say, for example, I'm going to choose one out of thin air, Highland dancing. If you find that there isn't a Highland dancing society, you can get in touch with the activities team at DSU and put this society together as long as you find 3 other people to do it with you. So I created the Ambassador Society, which so if you become a student ambassador at university or a brand ambassador or a course rep or any kind of representation or volunteering role in the university, you just go and meet other people that do similar roles to you. And had a great first year. I'm extremely proud of all of them. And then I was also a part of Demon Media as well. So if you're watching and are really interested in student media and maybe writing for a magazine or presenting a TV show or presenting a radio show, which is what I do, that's a really great way to get involved. So there's so many different things that you can do while at university. It's crazy. Molly, did you compete in rowing competitively? Were you part of the Bucks League?
No, I wasn't part of Bucks. I just did it as like the what did they call it? I think they called it the social team rather than the competitive team. Yeah, because competitive, you had to go to training at 6 o'clock in the morning, and I'd got too many practicals to do that. But the fitness side of it is still brilliant, and even just going twice a week made a massive difference.
Yeah, great, brilliant. So obviously we've got all sorts of students moving into DMU, both home and international. So if you had to give any kind of tip to any international students moving to Leicester, what would you say? Should we start with Lillian? I can see you're thinking.
Yeah, well, I actually, one of my closest friends I made at uni, she's an international student from Lithuania. And she had come to Leicester, or to England really, for the first time ever. So everything was new to her. I would say the first thing that she did that she said really helped her was just getting to know people. Because if you get to know people, you sort of pick up the lingo, you sort of know what's happening. You sort of feel like you can settle in a bit more. She also said that you should pick up pictures, as many pictures as you can of your family and of your friends back home, and just stick them around your room, just sort of make it feel a bit more homey. Yeah, things like that. That really helped her out.
I would definitely agree with the pictures thing, even for home students as well, for anybody who's kind of traveling in from, it could be an hour and a half away like me, or 8 hours away, from another country. But I really think that sticking up photos of your friends and family and having them around kind of feels like they're there with you, kind of, and it is comforting. And I think it's really interesting how you said about picking up the lingo, because one of my friends, she's from Poland, and she said to me, I find it really, really strange how British people, when we say hello, we go, hi, you all right? And we're not asking whether they're all right. And I thought that was really, really interesting, and it made me laugh. And I still think about it, and I'm very conscious of saying it now. But yeah, Molly, have you got any tips?
I 100% agree with the photo thing. I did that in my room, and it makes it feel more yours, because uni rooms can be quite bland and plain. But yeah, I would say getting to know people, which is obviously more difficult than it sounds. But yeah, and just making friends with everybody really helps.
Yeah,
and joining a society.
Oh yeah.
So meeting other people and using photos from home, so those are great ways to deal with homesickness. Have you guys got any experiences or any tips that you would give for dealing with homesickness in the first couple of weeks?
Yeah, definitely. If you miss your parents, just ring them. There's no harm in it. Give them a FaceTime or a video call. Just, they won't think like bad of you for missing them. Like, you've lived with them for at least 18 years. So yeah, just call people from home, and if you can, try and like meet your friends from back home, or go home sort of in reading week to go and see your friends, and the rest of and your family really helps. Like having a set date when you know you can go home and see your family really helps. Definitely, you've like, oh, I've only got one more week, and then it's like 5 days, 4 days, woo, going home. So yeah, definitely, just if you need to go home, go and see your family, go see your friends.
I think like during these COVID times as well, like people's parents and grandparents are now more apt to video calling, because we've like trained them to do it now. So video calling is really great. How about you, Lillian? Have you got any other tips?
I mean, I would first of all just agree with that. Just make the time to see them, whether virtually or in person, as much as you can, and stay connected with them, because it's nice to see people that you recognize and know, and hear their voice and see them. In terms of like other tips, I don't know. I guess it's also kind of nice, if you're feeling homesickness, like to see other people from like areas that you know of. So like I saw some group chats from the Facebook group chats of people from like a certain area in England, like people were from Birmingham, I think it was, and they made their own little group chat, and that was really cute. So they got to know people who maybe had who had like lived close to each other as friends and didn't even know it, and that can sort of help to just talk to people from an area that you're from if you find them.
Yeah, it's nice to hear your accent as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's also nice to have that sense of familiarity as well, so you can say, oh, the Black Bull on so and so street, and they'll go, oh yeah, I know that, and they can talk about people that are there. And I guess that is another sense of familiarity. With me, I didn't struggle with homesickness as much as I thought I would. But one thing I thought was really, really useful was making your accommodation room your own. So I put up fairy lights, I bought like really nice bedding and made it really, really, really cozy so that I still felt at home at uni. And I think that's also really important as well.
Yeah, definitely. So making it your own, candles, fairy lights, candles if you're allowed them. Fairy lights, a nice bedding. And my top one is a really snuggly, comfy blanket. Definitely, it's nice to cuddle up under when it's cold or when you're feeling a bit lonely. Yeah, that's really useful. And having a hobby that you can do by yourself to unwind as well, I found really helped. Having something to focus on and something to be proud of when you finished it.
Yeah, absolutely. You did crocheting, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yes, I remember you doing it. You were doing something during COVID with the animals in Australia, was that? How did you do with that?
Back in February, I made animal nests to go out to Australia through a charity that was appealing for crocheters and knitters to make things for all the animals that had been injured in the wildfires. So I ended up making about 10 or so baskets that got shipped out there. So that was really great. I only had sort of a week to make them before the shipment went, but that was really, really good. And then I'm currently making some items for my local paediatric unit and local neonatal intensive care unit as well, which at the hospital I was born at. So that's really nice to be able to have a sense of accomplishment and be able to, because I don't have much time to volunteer to charities, so being able to make something is a really nice way of donating to charities and supporting them.
Oh, that's really lovely. Yeah, a great way to get your hobby, something to do while you're studying, and a great way to help out the community as well, which is really, really great. So one thing I want to ask, and I've been asked this several times during the live streams that we've been doing for DMU, but what is your DMU highlight so far? I'm going to start with Lillian. I'm going to throw you in at the deep end.
Oh, goodness. DMU highlight. I would say my highlight was when I did some volunteering for DMU Local. I think I went to volunteer at Warning Zone, which is just sort of a couple miles away from Leicester. It's really sort of in the centre, but just a little bit off. Where they sort of teach like safety to young kids, like both off and online. And that's something that I never would have come into contact with without DMU Local. Like I never would have known that was there. But through that, I was able to sign up and volunteer. And it was really nice because I'd never really, like I'd done a few bits and pieces of volunteering here and there in my life, but nothing that I'd sort of dedicated time to, like that much time to. Because we were sort of teaching kids. So we had to have we were given a script. We were told, this is what you're sort of talking about. This is what you do. And there was quite a lot to remember in terms of because there were two sections that they have. They have the online safety and they have the offline sort of just in your environment safety sections. And you could choose to pick which one you were more comfortable. Safety.
Are you still? Oh, yep.
Am I back? Am I good?
Yes, you're back.
So that was really fun and something that I never would have known without DMU Local.
Great. And volunteering while you're at university is
it's something I can put on
your CV. There we go. Yeah, exactly. Molly, what about you? What is your DMU highlight?
Oh, so I've got a couple, but I'm going to mention one that will probably continue to happen at the moment. I absolutely love all the hands-on experience, and I don't think I just feel like it's something you wouldn't get anywhere else. It's great the amount of time in first and second year I've had come through my labs and with practical sessions, and just being able to get stuck in, get messy, use the presumptive tests, and get that real life experience.
Yeah, amazing, perfect. I'm trying to think of mine because obviously I've now graduated, so I don't really have a highlight so far. It's now, what is your DMU highlight? It's so difficult. I've been asked this so many times. I still can't think of one because there's so many experiences that you go through at university. It's really hard to kind of put them in a hierarchy because some things are great for one thing and then other things are great for another. Like going to university just in general for me is really great for personal development, and just simple life skills, because I wouldn't have been able to move out of home if I didn't go to university, just, you know, financially. But I think going to university has definitely made me more conscious of how to survive. I think that's really important. But yeah, there's so many different things, and you guys have covered the, you know, the employability side of things as well, which is really important. So from your DMU highlights so far, I want you to go right back to when you were starting university, and I want to know something you wish you could go back and tell yourself before your first year. So Molly, I'll start with you on this difficult one.
Okay. I would go a bit cliche, but I would go back and tell myself, revise. I'm always a bit of a last minute Lucy. But yeah, no, keeping on top of your work definitely is what I would tell myself in first year. Keep on top of it. Don't let it overwhelm you, and do your pre lecture reading as well, because that really helps.
Great. Lillian, what about you?
I would tell myself to not only stay on top of my work, but give myself more time to do the assignments. I found that like I would start a couple days before and it would get really, really close to the deadline. And obviously while you're working, you're not really putting in as much effort as you should be. You're sort of just trying to get through it, rush through it, finish it, hand it in. I would definitely tell myself to give myself more time. Maybe just stay a bit more organized in that way. So if I'm going to give myself more time to do it, then I know roughly like, okay, this week I'm going to start it. I'm going to do it such and such day, maybe do like, I don't know, 200 words for this one, and then say, okay, I've got time in the evening for myself, you know, something like that.
Yeah, getting a planner, an academic planner, is so good for doing that, because I clung on to mine like anything while I was studying, because it was the only way I could stay on top of things. Because for me, if it's not written down, I'm not going to do it. Simple as, because I'm so forgetful. But one thing I would go back and say to myself is, get your hands dirty, get involved with whatever's thrown at you, and just say yes. And I feel like I've done that fairly well throughout my university career, but there are some things that I did turn down, and I kind of wish I didn't now. Like, I turned down potentially working out in China for 2 weeks, and I really should have done that. But yeah, just say yes. Say yes, be open-minded to things, and that's what I would say. So right now we're going into our Q&A section. So like I said at the start, if you're watching, please do comment below with any questions that you have, and we'll try our best to reply to them. If we can't cover them today, somebody from our team will get in touch with you afterwards. So can we have the first question, please? Okay, what are the best things to do in Leicester? We have touched upon this a couple of times, but we'll start with Molly for this one.
Okay, so the best things to do in Leicester. What have I really enjoyed? I love it at Christmas. Obviously this probably may not happen this year, but when the Wheel of Light comes out up on the High Cross Square and the ice rink, that's really good fun to go ice skating with your friends. Some of them have never been before. Some people are secret pros. And that was really a really good, nice, festive activity to do, was to go ice skating at High Cross in the winter.
Yeah, one thing I really regret not doing, I've never been on the Wheel of Light, and I really wanted to go on it every single year, and I just never got round to it. So yeah, definitely do that. Lillian, what about you? What are the best things to do in Leicester for you?
For me personally, I love shopping. I love. I mean, I mostly do window shopping. I don't really buy things these days.
Yeah, mood.
But yeah, there's like so many shops in Leicester. For me, like I am a big fan of like makeup, so I used to go into the big Superdrug all the time, constantly, and the Boots and the big Primark. Just have a look around what's going on. Yeah, that was really good.
Getting the bus out to Foss Park and going to the ginormous Primark there as well.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. The High Cross as well is great. Not only do they have shops in there, but there's also loads of things to do. So recently I've noticed the craze has kind of been crazy golf. So we've now got two places in Leicester that do crazy golf, which I've actually enjoyed way more than I thought I was going to. I get very, very competitive. And I also really enjoy the bowling alley that they've recently opened in Leicester as well. That's really cool there. I've had many a fun night there. So yeah, really some really great things to do in Leicester. And like I said earlier, we've got so many theatres, so many cocktail bars, so many pubs. The nightlife is great as well. So yeah, so many things to do. So next question, please. Is accommodation close to campus? Lillian, have you stayed in accommodation or?
I haven't stayed in like uni accommodation or halls, but I do see that they are all pretty much on, like some of them are like right on campus, but a lot of them are quite close. I think the only one that's a little bit further away is maybe Merlin Heights, I think is a little bit of a ways out. But most of them are pretty close, I would say, yeah. And aside from that, if you're not looking to stay in halls, like I stayed in private accommodation since my first year, and there's plenty to go around. There's so many landlords looking for students. There's a lot of like if you're in a group, there's a lot of people who are looking for groups to stay in a house together. So if you've got some of your mates that come to the same uni as you, you can all stay in accommodation really close by.
Yeah, great. Molly, what has your experience been with accommodation?
So in first year, I stayed at Newark Street, which is one of the Sulex halls, which is now, I believe, a DMU only accommodation. So that one's really close. It's just behind the glassworks. So it's.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
It was a 15-minute walk to the furthest away building, and then 5 minutes to all the other buildings.
Yeah.
So that was nice and close to campus. Second year, I stayed in a private house, which was a lot further away. And was a 25-minute walk. But this year I'm going to be just on campus again. But yeah, so there's so much choice with accommodation, whether you're looking for a studio or a small flat share or a large flat share or a shared house, whatever you're looking for, that you can pretty much guarantee you'll find it.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a bit of a funny start with my accommodation, so I stayed in a private hall. But that didn't work out for me. So a week later, I moved out, and I was so lucky to find a studio at the Glassworks, which was very kindly offered to me. And I stayed in the studio, which meant I didn't have any flatmates, and my kitchen was in my bedroom, so I could sit on my bed and watch pizza cook, which was extremely exciting when I first moved in. And yeah, that really suited me. So since then, I've lived in studios, and then I had a 1-bed flat to myself in my third year. So there's so many things, so many different options you have based on your budget and what facilities you want and the location as well. So if you are still looking for accommodation, check out the DMU website. And sometimes they do call out for accommodation on the Facebook group, which we've mentioned so many times. But join it. It is so useful. Applying to DMU 2020 on Facebook. Can we have the next question, please? How did you all adapt to learning online? This is a great question because obviously everybody knows now. We had to all learn from home in March, and it was a bit of a change, but it's been amazing how we've all adapted to it. So how did you all find it? Lillian, we'll start with you.
I think it was a bit of a rocky start at first because I wasn't really sure what I was doing. But I think for me, what worked was getting into a routine is really important because obviously normally with your face-to-face lectures, you'd have a time and a place to be there. But with online, it was sort of just they'd post it and you sort of had to figure it out yourself. So for me, I'd say I tried to stick to a routine. So I'd be like, all right, let's just take it seriously, wake up in the morning at the same times, have breakfast, sort myself out, sit down at the computer, watch the lesson or read about it or whatever, and just sit there and concentrate as if I was in an actual lecture, do it, and then afterwards, just get on with my day or revise or whatever else it was. So yeah, just getting into a routine, just take it seriously. Don't treat it like a side project or anything. Just get stuck in.
Yeah, absolutely. Molly, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I totally agree with what Lillian said. Yeah, get into a routine and get on with it. But if you can, also try and work somewhere that's not your bedroom, not where you sleep. Because to start with, I was doing my work just sat up on my bed, and I was really struggling to sleep at night because my brain was in work mode, not in sleep mode. So if you can, even if it's sitting at your dining room table with some headphones in, try and work somewhere that's a proper desk and not where you sleep to have that distinction between where you sleep and where you work.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had no choice but to work in my bedroom because our office is taken up by my parents working. But luckily I've had a desk, but you don't know how many times I've been so tempted just to wander over to my bed and just lay down for a quick 3 minutes that turns into 3 hours. So yeah, structure and, you know, being strict with yourself is really needed at this point. But if you are starting DMU and want to find out about how we're going to be doing university this year, check out my DMU future, and that can give you all the information about how we're going to be going ahead with lessons this year. So can we have the next question, please? What should I bring to uni? Okay, so this is a huge question. So I'm going to ask you two your top 3 things to bring to university. Molly, we'll start with you.
An airer for drying your clothes on definitely is really useful, especially if you don't have a tumble dryer where you're living, and they can be quite expensive especially after you've paid to do your washing. So an airer is definitely my number 1 thing to bring. Comfy shoes is the second, because you can do quite a lot of walking around campus and around town. Comfy shoes, and third of all, a good coat, because as you know, it could either be really sunny like it is today, or it could be pouring with rain. So a good waterproof coat is definitely on my top 3 things of things you need for uni.
Great. Lillian, any more?
Yeah, I would say bring spare duvets and blankets, because I found myself buying so many of them when I had plenty of them at home. So depending on obviously your own setup where you are, just bring enough stuff from home because you'll have it all set up there. Bring enough cutlery. I feel like kitchen things was something that I hadn't like really thought about. And there was one time when I wanted to make pancakes in the morning. I was like, oh my God, I don't have like a weighing scale. I don't have a mixing bowl. And I really thought about those things because I'd always just had them at home. So just like come prepared. If you know the types of foods that you like to eat or that you like to make, just either have a quick shop, or if your parents let you, take a couple things from the kitchen at home and bring them with you. So that's 2 things. The last thing, stationery. Bring a crap ton of stationery. You can never run out of pens, pencils, rubbers, all sorts of things. Notepads. I found myself going through heaps and heaps of paper as well. So things like that, yeah.
Yeah, I had a different issue. I bought too much stationery. So whenever I was at the shop, I was like, oh, I'll just get some more sticky notes. And now I have too many sticky notes. I can't even fit them in my drawer. I must have going on 300. So if anybody needs any sticky notes, give me a shout. But yeah, so you guys have come up with some really good ones. What else would I say? I'd say a mattress topper to protect your mattress. Make sure that you get your deposit back afterwards. Good laptop. Good laptop's always needed at university. Obviously, if you don't have the funds for that, or if you find that your laptop suddenly breaks down, like mine did in Freshers Week. We've got so many computer facilities on campus, and if you talk to our advice team, we may be able to help you out with getting your own laptop, which would be great. Third thing, yeah, I mentioned it earlier, a planner. I love my planner so much. I'm very much the kind of person that likes to kind of coordinate things. So my planner and my highlighters were my babies. Great. So yeah, really, really great advice there. So next question, please. Is it easy to get hold of academics? Lillian, what's your view on this one?
I would say yeah. I feel like psychologically it doesn't feel like it is, because I felt myself being really sort of tentative with like speaking with academics. I think originally just because I wasn't quite sure how to approach them. Like, you know, do I say sir or madam? Like, what do I do? What do I say?
Yeah.
But in terms of like actually getting hold of them, it's quite easy. You just send them an email, and like you find on Blackboard, you'll find like all the staff contacts for your course. You can find them all really easily. And they reply normally within a couple of days. If they don't, like you can always just email them again if they might have missed it. And yeah, it was really easy, and they're all really like easy to talk to. A lot of them want to keep talking to you. So for example, when I did my first assignment for second year, I went to go speak to the module leader just for some advice on how like what else I could have included in my essay. And after we finished, she was like, just like, stay in contact with me, let me know how your other assignments go. And I wasn't expecting that at all. I was like, aren't you, busy, with other students?
Yeah.
She was like, yeah, just like email me, let me know how you're doing, let me know how you get on. And I was like, wow, I will definitely do that. And I did, and it was great.
Yeah. I think that surprised me as well at being at university. Like, your lecturers really want to know you and how you're doing. It's not like you're out of my lesson now, like that's it. They do genuinely care, and everybody is allocated with a personal tutor as well. So I had a very, very close relationship with my personal tutor before she left in January. So my last bit of my final year was with another personal tutor who I got on with really well as well. But yeah, I still go to my old personal tutor if I need anything. Now I've graduated now, and she works at a different university, but I'm like, help me. So it is I found that it's really easy to get a hold of academics. Molly, what has it been like for you in forensic science?
Yeah, really easy to get hold of the academics. Some of them even have their phone numbers with their extensions on the module information as well. So that's really useful if you need to ask a really, really urgent question. But yeah, no, they're so easy to get hold of, and I found they are really friendly, and they feel kind of more like my friends than my teachers.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, and they genuinely care as well, which is like just absolutely fantastic, because they're not just trying to fob you off with a rubbish answer. They're like, oh yeah, come to my office, I'll have a chat with you and we'll sort it out, and I'll see what I can do to help. And they are really, really, really good.
Yeah, the majority of them make their office hours public as well. So if you go onto Blackboard, you can see when they'll be in their office. And I always found that it was really weird adjusting to going from calling my teachers Miss or Sir to calling them, Karen or Steve. It was really hard to adjust to that. But once you have, it does kind of help with feeling settled in and feeling relaxed and feeling like, you're in the right place, essentially. Great. So, next question, please. I believe it may be the last question before we have to wrap up. Okay. As a student living at home, how can I make friends and stay connected? So we've already spoken about this quite a lot, but any last thoughts on this? Molly, I'll start with you.
Okay. So when you're in uni, in perhaps your small sessions that may be running, definitely try and get like people's contact numbers and be able to like Zoom call them or video call. That's definitely a really good way of staying in touch, especially if you live at home. And trying to see if there's anybody else who also studies from home and maybe lives near you that you can meet up with, or you can meet somewhere in the middle if they live a bit further away. Yeah, just try to get to know as many people as you can. And yeah, I think that's all I can think of.
Great. Lillian, what about you? Any last thoughts?
Yeah, I would sort of say the same thing, like, especially on the rare occasions that you might be on campus, just get to know people. Everybody's going to be in the same boat when you come in to uni. Everyone's going to be, wanting to make friends, wanting to get to know people. So don't be afraid, just get out there, get talking to people, get people's information. Like Molly said, just hit them up here and there. Yeah, and just stay connected. I would also say, like, check your emails a lot. I feel like a lot of students seem to forget that emails exist. But, make sure you check in your emails, see what's happening, see what events are going on, so you can stay connected.
Yeah, lecturers often send like assignment help points as well to your email. So if you're not checking it, you're not going to see it. So yeah, that's a great bit of advice, checking your emails. So we're going to have to finish there, I'm afraid. I know we're all disappointed that we have to say goodbye, but we have nearly been on here for an hour. So thank you so much to everyone for listening and for your questions as well. If we haven't been able to answer your question on the live stream, we will be in touch with the comments to help you on your way. And remember, you can connect with people on the Applying to DMU 2020 Facebook group. So just down there, go and check that out. We've spoken about that so much, and it does really help settle you into DMU. And also, if you want a last virtual look around before you start your course, you can book on to our digital open day on Saturday, the 19th of September. So there'll be several course talks going on. I know I'll be a part of the criminology and the psychology one, so I hope to see you guys there. There's also all sorts of campus tours going on, all sorts of information that you might need. So go and book onto that on the web address down below. So I just want to wish you guys best of luck starting your course in a few weeks. The 3 years at DMU go like that. They go so quickly. As a graduate, I can say that it goes so fast. Molly and Lillian, thank you so much for joining me today, and best of luck to both of you in your final year. And yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you guys all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.